Hello everybody and welcome back to TTTV. You're watching TTL F2 season number 4, round number 8, which takes us to the Singapore Grand Prix. My name is Kieran McGinley and joining me in the commentary box is James Head. James, how are you tonight?
I'm doing very well tonight. How are you, Kieran?
Yeah, I'm not too bad myself. Now, Singapore, not normally a place where F2 cars come along to, however, that all changes in TTL. We're here tonight. I believe, James, it's 36 laps around Singapore. You tested that theory, didn't you?
It is 34 laps around Singapore.
It's shorter than I expected, that's for sure. But yeah, because we don't actually come to Singapore in real F2, it's sort of out in the dark over here, quite literally, under the floodlights here in Singapore. But of course, it is a hot circuit. It's a very demanding circuit. We know that from F1, and it's going to be in longer race time in F2 here than it's going to be in F1. We could be pushing the hour mark in this race, maybe even beyond it, James. So how do you prepare yourself as a driver for an hour of driving around this pretty hot circuit?
It's simple, I think. Practice, practice, practice. You've got to try and get into that mind frame, into that mentality that you've got to try and be both mentally strong and physically strong, because especially if the guys are on wheels, it is going to be a real test for them, especially straining the arms. 34 laps around here is very, very demanding indeed. 23 corners per lap. It is going to really test them tonight.
Well, let's have a look at the driver standings, because if you missed last round, we had Honey take his second win of the season for Campos. Second place went to Frisch, who made it back-to-back second places, and Lyronix claimed his first podium of the season. And let's see what that did to the tables. Well, at the top of the table, we still have Siege and leading by quite some distance. 139 points for Siege. Honey and Sean in the Campos cars are tied together, 51 points apiece. Lyronix in 4th on 40 points. Maze in 5th on 38. Frisch in 6th on 36 points, Navy in 7th on 35, tied with Crazy Legs in the Prima car, also on 35 points. Casper is in 9th on 31 points, Maximus is in 10th with 26 points. Then it's Jeffrey in 11th on 20 points, Graham in 12th on 19 points, Pedro in 13th, tied with Bishy in the Sharu car, both on 12 points, Yuzi in 15th on 11 points, Alan K in 16th on 7 points, Hustwick in 17th on 4 points, George Roberts there in 18th on 1 point for the season. In the team standings, I should say, it's Carlin leading the way on 140 points, Campos in 2nd on 124, Sharu in 3rd on 86, Trident in 4th on 75, Arden in 5th on 66, MP Motorsport on 55 points, they're in 6th place, Prima in 7th on 54 points, ART tied with Damned in 8th place on 45 points, then it's Russian Time in 10th place there with 4 points, Hustwick their only points scorer. So it looks a pretty big gap from Siege there to the both Campos cars of Honey and Sean. Surely, working it out here, 25 points for the win. Yeah, that's got to be title wrapped up pretty soon.
I think if he wins tonight, Siege, he will win the championship. I'm pretty sure. I've just worked that out in my head.
Well, I mean, we'll have to keep you updated, because what is it? 139 less 51 is maths, and we all know from the mini leagues I'm
88?
not good at maths. That sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about right. We'll go with 88. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
Literally done off the top of my head, that.
Well, I mean, we have only a couple of rounds left in the season. Let me just have a look. So we've got tonight. So we've got 4 rounds left. We've got tonight. We have Japan, USA, and then Abu Dhabi. So we have 100 points up for grabs. Siege is on 88 points. We'll have to do some maths during the stream, of course, to try and keep you up to date. But Siege could wrap up the title tonight.
Yeah, I think the only thing I think that could stop Siege, him potentially scoring well tonight, is his last result. 5th place. Apart from that, he's finished 1st and 2nd throughout the season. Consistency is there. I just think that 5th place might just drag him down a little bit, and we could see the likes of Honey, for example, who's raced in 2 races this season and taken both wins in Austria and in Belgium. I think he could be the one to watch tonight. I think he could take it.
Well, we'll have to find out, you and I both, as well as our loyal fans in the chat there. Let us know how you're getting on tonight. Let us know if you're looking forward to Singapore. I know a couple of drivers aren't looking forward to it, but surely because of what we were talking about, James, about how demanding this track is going to be. But we're heading into one-shot qualifying. And James, this is a track that catches a lot of people out. We've had the old Singapore Sling, which has been and gone. We had the very first Formula 1 Grand Prix back when Nelson Piquet, in the end, purposely put it into the wall to allow Fernando Alonso to take the lead under the safety car. It started with controversy. It's still one of the pinnacle places on the track, on the calendar, and it's one of those places you really, really want to win. Like we say in Formula 1, sometimes it's a sprint, but with Singapore, it really is the endurance side.
It is really the endurance side. As I say, 23 turns for the drivers on each lap tonight. We've got 34 laps here tonight as well. Watch out on track. I've just got volume coming through my end, by the way. You can hear that in the background. I do apologise. The corners to watch out for. Turn 14 has been a place for crashes before, and possibly run off into turn 7. Watch out for the back ends of the cars going through that. It's going to be very tricky to handle. We might see a few spinners here in one shot.
Well, let's find out how the drivers are going to approach this, of course. Hopefully, James, you get that mic sorted. It's a little bit crackly, so hopefully you get that sorted. However, riding on board now with, I believe, this is Jeffrey as he makes his way around the final corner and on towards the start-finish line now. Heading towards turns 1, 2 and 3. This left, right, left here. It's going to be a hectic turn 1 as we saw just about 2 years ago now with that Raikkonen, Vettel and Verstappen start. Out of turn 3, watch out for the traction there as you now go over some undulation onto the braking zone in towards turns 4 and 5 here. Coming down the sort of back straight here. On towards turn 6 with that DRS wide open. Full throttle through there. The DRS can take it as you head now for the braking zone in towards turn 7 where Lewis Hamilton and Mark Webber came together all those years ago. Now coming on towards turn 8 again. Right-hander. Pretty much 90 degrees, maybe even a bit more than that. Very tight to get an overtake done. Now in towards turn 9 we go. And you've got to keep it out of that wall. Jeffrey tags it there. Front right tyre. Very easy to understeer through there. Now through turn 10. The old Singapore Sling. Used to be mountains of curves here. Now it's lovely flat tarmac in towards turn 11 and on towards the Anderson Bridge through turn 12 and on towards that hairpin of turn 13. Heavy braking zone here. Perfect opportunity to try and go up the inside. We saw Felipe Massa try that all those years ago and managed to make it stick. Now out of the acceleration zone on towards the third and final sector on towards turn 14. A good overtaking opportunity this one if you're brave enough and go down the inside, but it's a very tight exit here and very, very crucial that you get that traction zone absolutely spot on through this slight kink of 15, which then becomes the braking zone for turn 16. Again, really important that you don't understeer through here. Those walls are unforgiving and they are very, very tight. In towards turn 18, it's caught Daniel Ricciardo out in the Toro Rosso. In towards now 19, this 90-degree section really tests the car's grip here through turns 20 and 21. Watching the traction here as we now go through the double left-hander of turns 22 and 23. Honey Badger takes pole with a 150.3 and Jeffrey there finishes in 13th place. However, his lap time was disqualified because he, I assume, he cut the track somewhere out there. But a 150.3 from Honey Badger there. Frisch is in second, 51.3 there. But yeah, that's a great lap from the Trident driver in Frisch to get up to second. But Honey Badger just does enough. Break the 150s and grab that pole position. So then your qualifying results then. Honey Badger on pole position, 150.3, exactly 1 second and 1,000th ahead of Frisch there. Navy then finishes in third with Pedro fourth. Siege is in fifth place with Casper in sixth. Maximus in seventh. Mays on the soft tyres qualifying in 8th place. Alan Kay in 9th and Graham in 10th with Yuzi outside of the top 10 in 11th place. George didn't make it to the finishing line in that time required, and Jeffrey Henney, his lap time was invalidated at some point during that lap we were riding on board with, but 1 minute 50 lap times, it's going to be a long one round here. Of course, those 4 points don't count towards the pole position in towards the championship standings. It is the regular F1 points, so that means it's only 1 point up for grabs in the race. Now, of course, before we start the race tonight, the drivers came to an agreement that we have a lap of honour here in these F2 cars. Sadly, over the weekend, we did lose one of the starlets, Antoine Hubert, who sadly passed away at the Belgian Grand Prix on Saturday during the F2 feature race. So in his honour, we will of course have the formation lap in silence to remember and reflect on what a driver he was. The reigning GP3 champion is exactly how he will be remembered. 22 years old and a huge loss of talent has shook and shaken the F2 and F1 community, with the Belgian sprint race being cancelled on the Sunday for F2. But now we will pay our respects here in F2 with that lap of honour and that lap in silence. Crepos en paix, Antoine, this one's for you. We're moments away here from the Singapore Grand Prix here in TTL F2, and Honey Badger starts on pole position. What's his start going to be like as we make our way up towards turn 1 as the 5 red lights come on here in Marina Bay? Round 8 is underway, and what are the starts like? Looks like Honey Badger has got a good start. Pedro's got a good start as well. Frisch, though, up the inside, takes the lead in towards turn 1 as Honey Badger has to go round the outside, and Frisch has done it. Frisch then leads in towards turn 3. It's Honey Badger in second. Pedro with a good start. He's now up to third place. Navy and Casper going side by side there, but they can't quite make it stick through there. Graham then up to 10th place now as we make our way now through turn 5, and a little bit of a tab on the wall in the background. There's a bit of end play off. Which car's that though? It looks like that's Mays who's got the damage there on the right hand side. Is it? I can't quite tell, but we'll have a check on that. I'm sure James spotted it better than I could. Actually, it's George there. Is that George? No, it's Casper. Casper with the front wing damage on the left-hand side then. That took a while for me. However, Jeffrey there, 12th place. Alan Kay up to 11th. He's looking up the inside of Yuzi there. No gap forming there. Remember, he's on the soft tyres, the middle ground tyre, if you like, as we now head towards the old Singapore Sling here with Frisch. Honey Badger second, Pedro third, Navy in fourth with Siege in 5th place there. Down the order, maybe more down the order than we expected, across the Anderson Bridge and down towards turn 13. This tight left-hander hairpin. We're riding aboard with Honey Badger now as he tries to get advantage of the slipstream from Frisch. Meanwhile, behind them as well, we've got to keep our eye on Navy, who's looking for a move around the outside of Pedro on those super soft tyres, still trying to look for the gap, but there's none forming. Pedro did well there to close that door and keep it shut then, as Navy now makes his way on towards that braking zone of turn 16 through 17 there. You can see Pedro didn't get a great line through 17, but again, there's nowhere for Navy to put the car and take advantage, so Pedro holds on to P3 for now. Looking across the field, it all looks pretty even right now, with the closest battle being the battle between Frisch and Honey Badger for the lead of the race. But as they head towards turns 22 and 23, it is Frisch who's going to lead the way then. Honey Badger in second, Pedro third, Navy fourth, Siege in fifth, Casper sixth, Maximus seventh, Mays in eighth, Graham ninth, Yuzi in 10th, Alan K 11th, Jeffrey Henney is in 12th and George there in 13th. Yusi has just made a move on Graham then and moves now up to 9th place and well inside the points now as Graham looks to try and take advantage. And that looks like Alan Kay has just gone straight up the inside of Graham there and has taken the position. Alan Kay now into the point on those soft tyres, of course the middle ground. Oh, they've got a car off in the background and that's Jeffrey who's lost the back end there out of turn 3 and has hit the wall, lost a bit of front wing end plate. Car looks relatively intact, but it's a front wing change, and of course with that reduced pit crew it's going to take an age for that front wing to repair. But Frisch leads in Singapore here on lap 2.
Great start by the Trident boys. Afri and Pedro up in position from Afri up to first, Pedro up to third. In the background as well, George had spun at turn 1. He has also spun so behind Jeffrey. It was a separate incident compared to Jeffrey. I think he just lost on the curb through turn 1. But Honey Badger right all over the back of Afri, but he can't find a way through. And of course, watch out in behind, because Pedro and Navy are the only two drivers out on track on a set of super soft compound tyres. So they're going to be making progress through this first half of the race more sooner rather than later. So just watch out for them, as Jeffrey has been overtaken by George, and he's lost his front wing as Jeffrey. So, and Casper in the meantime, all over the back of Maximus. Not quite, but it's Afri still in the lead from Honey Badger and Pedro, second and third.
Yeah, Maximus actually, that looked like a team order kind of move. Maximus with an intact front wing, Casper with the opposite, with an end plate off on the left-hand side. So he's rather led his teammate through, quite reluctantly, I'm sure. However, you can see from those tyres then, most of the field on those soft tyres, with Pedro and Navy on those super softs. Now, you have to use two sets of tyres, two different compounds of tyres. The super softs or the mediums. Now, it's up to you which two you use, but you've got to use two compounds, as Frisch then sets the fastest lap of the race in the lead, and Pedro instantly bests that with a 1:57.0. Near 2-minute lap times here. We are definitely going to break the hour mark, or at least come very, very close to it. So it's going to be a very demanding race. As long as you keep it out of the walls, as long as you keep the front wing intact, you've got a good chance of scoring some really good points here.
Yeah, Casper into the pits to replace that front wing. Honey Badger in the meantime, all of the back of Afri. Of course, DRS enabled this lap, and he is looking for a move down into the inside of turn 7 here, now going around the outside. I've seen a move here pulled up before. Honey Badger trying to go around the outside. George has been disqualified for blocking the pit lane down in the back, and Honey Badger up the inside of turn 8. Brilliant racing side by side. Afri holds it around the outside nicely and somehow holds on to the lead of the race, but that was brilliant side by side action between the Trident and the Campos car there, and Pedro looking in behind. It was just dropped Navy a little bit as well, coming towards the Anderson Bridge section again for the third time. George leading the session after that disqualification. Second time in 2 weeks he has been disqualified from the race. But Afri hanging on, but brilliant side-by-side racing there.
Absolutely, Honey Badger, just no way through for him right now. As Frisch is looking to hold on to this one. What were you spotted then, James?
Navy losing the back end there out of the hairpin at turn 13, just losing a bit more time to Pedro. He's 8 tenths off. He's just lost a couple of tenths there after that slight mistake. Nothing too major though.
Honey Badger piling the pressure on Frisch as we head now towards turn 18. Of course, as I said, on the qualifying lap, it's a place that's caught Daniel Ricciardo out of all people back in his Toro Rosso days. But Honey Badger still putting that pressure on. 3-second time penalty for Pedro then. So that is third place man there. Got that 3-second time penalty. That will come back to bite him towards the end of this race. And the story of the penalties is going to be pretty clear. The less you get of them, the better, I think. Especially in this endurance type race as we head now down towards turn 1 for the 4th time. Frisch still leads. Honey Badger second. Pedro in third. That's your top 3 so far.
Yeah, fantastic stuff early on. Honey Badger all over the back of Battery once again on the approach towards turn 5. Of course, similar to the London Eye approaching in the foreground of shot there. And did you know around here in Singapore that they actually form the world's largest human domino? I didn't know that, so I may as well throw a fun fact in there. In the meantime, Uzi, all over the back of Maze, just coming through turn 5, should get the DRS open here. They're both on the same strategy, both on a set of soft compound of tyres. It should be quite easy here for Uzi, who is in the solo Arden, trying to... Oh, and he's actually went into him. Not sure what happened there. I think Uzi might have just lost the back end slightly through turn 6. I didn't really catch that. I was on board TV pods.
I think what happened there was Uzi just lost a bit of downforce on the front there, so actually understeered into the side of Maze. That contact then put Uzi into the wall, and now he's lost that huge chunk of front wing, which takes an age to repair here in F2. So, well, it's just, I think Uzi just underestimated how much grip he'd have through turn 6 there, and that's what caused that.
Yeah, that does make sense, to be honest. Of course, Uzi has now lost a good chunk of his front wing. I think the right side end plate is certainly missing from my perspective. In the meantime, though, it definitely seems to me that the softs are beginning to warm up more than the super softs. Pedro now just coming under attack a little bit from Navy, but they're not really making those inroads as much as possible. Jeffrey is back into the pit, 5-second penalty, speeding in the pit lane now, and retires in the pit lane. As a result, race pretty much over before it begun for him, to be honest. Hopefully he will come back next week. But Honey Badger still all of the back of Battery. But yet again, I was saying, the softs, as Casper has retired as well. Not sure what's going on.
Yeah,
Where did Casper lose that? Yellow flag sector 1, sector 2. So he must have lost it somewhere turn 7?
Could have been, but...
Comes to mind?
Well, obviously we don't get an onboard, so I guess... James will never know now, unless he explicitly says in the chat. Absolutely, Alan Kay is moving up the grid. Or that's because Uzi's come into the pit lane to repair that front wing. Now, let's see how long this is. Of course, a much reduced crew to work on the car. You've got 2 of the crew working on the rear tyres. The rest of the crew work on the front wing. Then 2 of those crew then have to change the front tyres. And that's what causes that long delay. Looks like Super Softs on Uzi's car, and away he goes. That is such a painful stop there, to have to wait there. It feels like an absolute age. That's why it's really important to keep your front wing intact.
Navy must have run wide somewhere out on track in that final sector last lap around, because he is now under pressure from Siege, who's on a set of softs. Again, coming back to my point, I don't think the super softs are really working the temperature around here. The softs beginning to come into play, and Siege possibly close enough for a move into turn 14. Remains to be seen. He's got the he hasn't got the DRS open because there's no DRS down here. Don't think he's close enough for a move. He'll just stand behind. But he is closer than he was last lap, and Navy hasn't got any visible damage, so I can only think the tyres are starting to go on the super softs. The temperature's not really working in those favour for the super soft runners.
Yeah, and of course, even under the floodlights here, even in the stroke of midnight pretty much we're racing here, and it's still so hot, so humid. The track temperature will be higher than 45 degrees, and at that temperature the super softs are very easy to just go off completely, depending on which compound Pirelli has bought. So I would have said myself to go onto the soft tyres and see what happens. Frisch then, 156.9, that's the fastest lap of the race so far. Siege, meanwhile, still applying the pressure on Navy. Of course, he could wrap up the title tonight. However, that 88-point gap at the top is going to come down at this moment in time with the 2 Campos cars. I believe, actually, is it going to come down? That'd be very interesting.
Well,
Honey is in second place. We haven't got Sean tonight, so that's what's going to, or a saving grace for Siege. He'll be able to close or open the gap on one of those competitors. But Honey Badger right now in second is going to be a real thorn in the side of Siege as we make our way now on board with him down towards turn 6, but no move there. Meanwhile, Honey Badger looking down the inside of Frisch there in towards turn 8. No doing there, as he now has to wait before turn 9. And of course, with these cars compared to the Formula 1 cars, oh, Honey Badger lost the back end there. That was a huge moment there out of turn 9, but he just about gathered the car up, facing the right way. That's important. So He's able to recover that one. We've got a bit of front wing end plate there on the right hand side, quite a lot of it actually. So I'm not sure what happened there. That could have been involving Henny or Casper. We don't know. We weren't riding on board with them, so we never get to see what happened to their car. Siege, meanwhile, heading down in towards turn 13, looking to take a different line, try and prioritise his exit out of turn 13. And look how close he is to the back of Navy, riding on board now, heading up towards turn 14. Navy defends the inside line. Siege trying to go around the outside, and again trying to prioritise his exit out of the corners on the run through 16 and into the braking zone of turn 17. Siege is doing what he can right now, but maybe at a delta. He knows Navy's on the super softs in front. He knows those. Oh, we got a bit of front wing end plate off there, off one of the cars ahead. Was that Pedro? Was that Pedro's front wing falling off there? Actually, I'm not entirely sure.
It was. I'm just trying to have a look.
There was definitely a bit of front wing end plate off on that one. But anyway, Honey Badger gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. We'll try and see which car.
It's Afri. It's Afri.
Oh, it is Afri.
What's on
race leader. Yes, it is. So Honey Badger now will have a chance through turn 6. Now Frisch will have less downforce through that fast right-hander. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy pickings for Honey Badger, but he'll find it a lot easier. Frisch may have to lift off here. Let's see what happens as he makes his way through. Do we hear a lift there? No, we don't. Still full on the power. Here's Honey Badger with that DRS now trying to go round the outside here. We've seen this before. Weber. Oh, and Honey Badger once again loses the back end and keeps control of that car. Gathers it up. Almost went into the side pole of Frisch there. And that's the second time in as many laps that Honey Badger's lost the back end.
How on earth is he not losing any front wing by these mistakes? It's not cost him any time either, these mistakes. So, Honey Badger, honestly, miracle worker in that cockpit at the minute in that car. On lap 7 out of 34, Afri leads, Honey Badger second. But as you said, Afri with the front wing damage now, surely Honey Badger is just going to sense a big opportunity, possibly on the start finish straight now. I can't see any real overtaking opportunities. Again, just tries to look down the inside, never close enough. But surely, you've said it might be easy pickings. It should be easy pickings. But if Afri begins to hold up Honey Badger, it could bring Pedro into it, and it could possibly bring Navy into it as well. Could see that top 5 begin to close up a little bit. But Honey Badger still on the back of Afri.
Frisch still leading then as we make our way towards that 90-degree section once again through turns 20 and 21. Honey Badger just trying to find a different line from Frisch as we head towards 22 and 23. And look at this now, Frisch getting another 3-second time penalty. That's going to hurt him towards the end of this race. Then on towards lap 8 we go. And Honey Badger again looking down the inside. Nothing doing for him right now through turns 1, then through turns 2 and 3. And look at this now, again, trying to find a different line, trying to find a better exit out of each corner. And once again, he'll have to try again through that turn 6 on the braking zone towards turn 7. Through turn 5 we go in the slipstream, and with that DRS, it should help Honey Badger a little bit now, riding on board. As he now gets into the slipstream, Frisch moves to the left-hand side to try and cover the inside line. Honey Badger has to go around the outside in towards turn 7. It's the exact carbon copy from last lap. This time Honey Badger keeps the car facing the right direction. He's got the inside line at turn 8. They're going to be side by side out of the corner. Frisch gets a little bit squirrely out of turn 9 there. And that allows Honey Badger to get the position, out of turn 8 that was, into turn 9. And that allows Honey Badger to gather the car up and take the lead here in Singapore. But looking at Frisch here, he's not done with this battle whatsoever.
Yeah, German not giving up without a fight, like most Germans are. Nearly going into the back of him, nearly into the hairpin. Just a little bit of a lock up there. Siege, in the meantime, is all over the back of Navy. 4 tenths away. That has got considerably closer this lap around, but now Afri should just begin to fall back gently with that front wing damage. Honey Badger just running wide of the apex there into turn 14. But Honey Badger now out in front with what I've got to say, sensational move around the outside. Picked his spot, and it was third time lucky around the outside for Honey Badger, and he has got the lead, and he's now beginning to pull out that gap to Afri. What does Afri do now that he's been overtaken? Does he come into the pits and go for a set of mediums? Remains to be seen. We'll see if he pits in this lap. I don't think he will, though.
Well, that's the difference, isn't it? The strategy here is going to be crucial. I mean, we're probably still expecting 1 stops around here, James, but the rate you've got to keep those tyres at, the delta you've got to keep is astonishing. There is Honey Badger, 1:56.8, fastest lap of the race so far. Right on board with this nice little rear wing view of Frisch here as he makes his way now through turn 4 and onto the entrance of turn 5. Siege, meanwhile, is still trying to chase down Navy. Now, with Honey Badger in the lead, he'll be scoring 25 points. Now, the gap at the moment between those two is 88 points. What Honey Badger has to do is get that points margin below 75. So he has to cut that gap by at least 14 points. So Honey Badger 25 at the moment, and looking down there, Siege has 10 points, I believe, is that? That's 25, 18, 15, 12, 10.
I'll make that as 73 points difference real time.
So at the moment then, Honey Badger is keeping this championship battle alive, and Siege wants to try and find a way past Navy. But of course, when you're a championship leader by 88 points, you sort of start to think, well, actually, do I need to go for this move? Well, what sort of move do you go there? Do you go for the centre where you attack every corner, attack and try and get past as many people as possible? Or do you take the Alain Prost approach where you just say, you know what, I'm happy with this, these are good points, I can focus on the next race where really I only have to outscore my opponent by 2 points?
Well, you know what they say with the hare and the tortoise, slow and steady wins the race. Siege, I think, is going to do exactly that approach. I think he's just going to try and pick them off one by one. He's got Navy ahead. The Supersofts will start to begin to wear away now. So I think that will go into his advantage. You start to see Siege pitting around halfway through the race, I would imagine, in terms of strategy. But it remains to be seen whether he can actually get past Navy. Pedro, by the way, is dropping like an absolute fly behind Afri. Has he picked up any damage? I can't see any damage.
It could be the tyres, though.
Tyres, I think.
Might be wearing out, and you can see Siege is piling on that pressure to Navy. Now, of course, there could be damage on Pedro's car. We might not just be able to see it. It might be that fine. And, of course, when you have damage this fine on cars that really don't have a lot of downforce, as it stands anyway, you're going to find it much more noticeable when you go through turn 6, for example, and there's just no grip. Siege still riding on board with, trying to chase down Navy. Let us know, chat. What approach do you take in a championship battle? The Senna or the Prost approach? It'd be interesting to get your thoughts. Let us know in the chat. Make sure you're following the league on Twitter. It's at TTL_F2. You can also follow me whilst you're there if you like, at KSMCG F1. James, it's at B52Head. James, what have you seen out on track?
It is. Navy just missing the apex slightly, giving Siege a little bit of a run in towards these next couple of corners. Very tight to the wall there. Navy again just overrunning the apex. He's beginning to take things a little bit too risky for my liking. Siege now sensing that opportunity and sensing that Pedro was starting to come back in front of these two, coming across the Anderson Bridge once again. Siege, I think, has got the opportunity to try and get this move done. I wouldn't say this lap, but certainly within the next 3 laps, you should see Siege past Navy. And if it's not, then everybody, I will give you a £10 note.
Recon in the chat then, saying he's going for the centre approach, but it hasn't really worked out for him this season.
Who's that? Recon?
Recon, yeah.
I need to have a look at his results because my iPad's turned itself off. Damn it.
Oh, well, you know what? You're so unprepared. Well, I'm joking. But yeah, well, that's interesting. Then centre approach, that's one vote for it. How about you? Get involved in the chat. Honey Badger, 56.2 there on those soft tyres. And he's really extending that gap to Frisch, of course, who has that front wing damage. And Pedro is into the pits. So he's had enough of these super soft tyres. What tyres is he going to put on, I wonder? Will he go for the soft switch tyres already? Yeah, softs already. So, of course, a reduced crew. 1 person per tyre. 2 Jackmen and a Lollipop Man. That's all you get here in F2. And Pedro leaves the pit lane and gets his way down that pit lane. Of course, we've seen Felipe Massa with the fuel nozzle still attached. As that really said goodbye to his 2008 championship bid. That is probably where the championship was lost in that season. However, Pedro now rejoins in 6th place and a very comfortable gap to Mays behind. He can now try and focus on getting that car to the end of the race. Meanwhile, with Siege now trying to chase down Navy as he now heads his way in towards turn 9. And still, he's just trying to find Navy's weak spots. He's still trying to find where is Navy the weakest through the corners, where are his tyres not as good as Siege's. It's all a bit of working out here, and now Siege is trying to figure out where's the best place to pass him.
Running off the camber of the corner just before the Anderson Bridge section, formerly the Singapore Sling, I think it's turn 10, might just watch out for it there, because he seems to be getting closer through that section from the Anderson Bridge section all the way up to the end of the middle sector. He seems to be getting a lot closer. He needs to try and identify that weak spot through the corners, which I think is Navy's weak spot currently, and Siege has got to try and benefit that and try and get the best run out of turn 13, the hairpin that he can, and try and seize the opportunity and get past Navy. But this is looking a lot closer than last lap.
24 laps to go, 23 and a bit if you're picky, with Honey Badger still leading from Frisch, and Graham has now retired from the session. So we now have only 9 drivers now. I don't think that's a great idea from Graham, as here comes Navy into the pits then, and finally Siege has a bit of clear track ahead of him. So Navy, it looks like, is going to move on to a new set of tyres. Yeah, I don't think that was a wise move from Graham. That was a point on the board.
Yeah, Navy into the pit. Super soft compound of tyres. And by the way, just right on board with Honey Badger there. Graham lost it.
They weren't
just
ready.
Before turn 5. Oh, they're not.
They weren't. Oh, okay, that's okay.
Glitch pit stop.
It just looked like Navy's crew wasn't ready. So Pedro gets that undercut done.
He might be out in traffic here. Mays is just closing up slightly. I think he's going to be out quite a way ahead of him actually in the end. Yeah, Navy's ahead of Mays in the end. Just spreads things out, but Pedro now the only one, apart from Navy, he's now 5 seconds behind him. Pedro on a lap pressure tyres. When do the guys on the softs begin to pit? I think it's round about 15, 16 possibly for the softs.
Well, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? We don't really know. We're sort of in the dark about how these tyres perform, especially with this first season in F2 cars around a track like this. Such a hot temperature out of track, so humid out there as well. It means that it's very, very difficult to try and predict what sort of tyre life we're expecting. But if the super soft tyres have managed to last about 10, 11 laps, then maybe, James, these soft tyres can work a whole lot better and a whole lot longer than we actually expect.
Yeah, I think they can for sure. Oh, easy! He lost it in the final sector, and he's just nearly gone drifting into the pit lane there, that I've just seen. That's quite strange.
And retired from the session as well, again, throwing away valuable points for Arden. Honey Badger goes faster than 55.8. You can see then, with that fuel depleting, the cars are only getting faster and faster.
Yep, Honey Badger is beginning to pull away. It's around about, it was an average about 7/10 a lap I had it as for the last 3 laps alone for Honey Badger. So you can probably work that in your mind. It's about 2.1, 2.2 seconds he's gained over the last 3 laps alone. And now with Afree's front wing damage and Honey Badger's now pure pace, it should be quite an easy win for him. I think I predicted he was going to win as well, so it's not looking too shabby.
Well, look at you getting your predictions right. Well, lap 13 here, out of 34. It is Honey Badger in the lead, Frisch in second, Siege then running in 3rd place with Maximus in 4th. Now, the top 4 are yet to stop in this race, and we're sort of wondering when they're going to stop with these soft tyres. I almost called them the mediums. The mediums. Not quite, though. It's not going to catch me out that quickly. I mean, I've only just moved on from super soft, softs, mediums. Then we come to F2, which is super soft, soft, and medium. So it's getting back into that, and then having to forget it all for Thursday. And oh my goodness, it's a roller coaster, that's for sure.
A lot of adaptation, I think it is.
I think you're
Formula
right.
1
yes.
and Formula 2.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are different cars. They've got less downforce, thinner tyres as well. So. And different compounds as well. At least they're called something else anyway. But hopefully when the 2019 cars come in, we'll be seeing those tyres, or tyres change compounds maybe onto the modern Pirelli tyres.
Yeah, I think the F1 2019, the update anyways, is coming within the next 2 weeks, I've heard, for the F2 cars. So the big September update, as they're calling it. And just to pick out on something as well that I've just noticed, Mason Allen Kay yet to stop. They've kept it nice and consistent. don't want to be getting into any sort of battles. They don't have the pace currently, but I think they're just keeping it that consistency and they're going to get them points, which I think is what matters at the end of the day.
Well, I think as well, they're driving a smart race. They know they don't have to push. They're in 7th and 8th place. I mean, they've had drivers retire all around them, and that's put them into the points. So they're probably thinking now, you know what? We're happy with this position. Let's just get to the checkered flag. That's the important thing now.
Of course, anything could happen ahead of them as well. That's what I gotta think. This track is quite unforgiving at times. Navy, new fastest lap of the race, 55.8. That's on 2-lap old softs, but he's not getting any closer to Pedro. I think he's only closed in. Oh, and he loses it out of turn 2 on the curb. Going well wide into turn 3, nearly into the wall there.
Just has to keep his cool there after that quick lap. So Navy now trying to close in on Pedro. 4.9 is the gap ahead of him, with Pedro also on those fresh tyres. Of course, Pedro did the undercut on Navy just a couple of laps ago to get himself into 5th place. So what's happening in Siege's mind, I wonder? Because what happens here can be...
Oh! Pedro's lost it! Pedro's lost it at turn 8.
So let's see, and he retires as well. What is going on with these retirements? You've got good points here. Why are you throwing them away?
He's locked up into turn 8, I think. That's what's happened there with Pedro. Car pulls off to the side. Literally just flicking him through, and I just see him in the wall. Oh.
It's another load of points that aren't going to be claimed, and another load of points that have just been thrown away, and another load of points that are going Mays and Alan Kay's way. They're having the time of their lives at the moment. They're realising, oh, we don't have to push, and we get another position.
I think I said it a couple of laps ago. Anything could happen ahead of them, and that's exactly what's happened in case of Pedro crashing out. They're now getting a position each, 6th and 7th respectively. Fantastic stuff. They're keeping it nice and consistent.
Lap 15 out of 34. Honey Badger leads then. It is Frisch in 2nd place. Siege is running in 3rd. But of course the top 3 still have to stop, as does Maximus there, who's just started his 15th lap of those soft tyres. Then it is Navy in 5th place. So out of all of the runners right now, Navy is the only one who's stopped. That's a story and a half.
Navy is the only one that's stopped. But again, is he getting any closer to Honey Badger as a result? I don't think he is. Yes, he set the fastest lap, but looking at the fastest laps, Honey Badger is only 0.04 of a second off him in terms of fastest lap at the moment. That's an interesting thing to note, because I think Honey Badger, with the advantage, he's gonna win this. But Navy, where's he gonna come out in when Afri and Siege especially pits? Going to be quite interesting. I think he could come out in 3rd, to be honest.
He could come out in 3rd, but then that means he's got to get those tyres to the end of the race, and he'll be on older tyres compared to the cars around him. That's the important thing.
I think he'll have to do 24 laps? No, that's less than that. 22 laps on those set of softs. That he's got to do.
What is going on with your mic, James? It sounds like it's, well, I don't know, it's crackling, and if I could describe it...
I need to get a new headset.
Yeah, if I could describe it in a nonsensical way, it's like pork crackling. It's just...
Pork crackling?
It's pork crackling, yeah.
It's to do with the way I wear it. I wear it quite tight to my ears, so yeah.
Well, don't do that.
You'll never hear that on a stream. Only in TTL F2 you'll ever hear this.
Absolutely. Well, Frisch then. Remember, Frisch is still on that damaged front wing. On that right-hand side. Is it right-hand side? Left-hand side? It is right-hand side. So he's still on that damaged front wing. And what's important is he's still building that gap to Siege.
He is building that gap to Siege. It's 8.2 seconds. Has Siege picked up any front wing damage that you can note of? Because it doesn't look like it.
No, I can't see a lot.
If it is.
Well, of course, there might be damage to that front wing. It just might not be quite so visible. Of course, the front wing, as simple as it is nowadays, still can have that slight bit of damage and still cost you a bit of time. And then the team say, you know what, get that front wing to the end rather than change it. And to be honest with you, with the amount of time you lose in the pit lane, changing your front wing with a 7-person crew, I mean, it makes sense to stay out.
It does make sense to stay out. Honey Badger in the meantime, 7.6 seconds ahead, looking good. As I say, out in front, we are only approaching halfway.
Yeah, and this
I
is
felt like we've been here quite a long time.
Well, this is the endurance side, of course. For the drivers out there, they're going for around about an hour. It's one of the longest races on the calendar in terms of time, so it's pretty demanding. And you see some of those drivers who've really forgotten that it's an endurance, this one, on the calendar. You can't just retire on lap 11 and that's that. You know, you still had about 24 laps still to run. So to me, it seems like a silly idea to retire from such an endurance like this. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, this is bigging me up a little bit for tomorrow night, because I've got a 90-minute commentary to do. 90-minute endurance race, Gapra, on Project Cars 2.
Oh, right.
So, this is me enduring an endurance race tonight and then moving on to another one tomorrow. This is fantastic. Fantastic stuff.
So, just about under half race distance. It is Honey Badger leading then. 8.2 seconds is the gap so far. It is Frisch in second. Still running on those soft tyres and still running with that damaged front wing. Siege then in third. Again, 8 seconds behind. And that gap is sort of stabilised. You can see it grows in Sector 1. But then through Sector 2 and Sector 3, Siege then cuts that gap down. You can see him actually now through Sector 2. Or the start of Sector 2. That's now down to 7.8. So Siege maybe is making that car come alive with those used tyres. Maximus then is in 4th place. Again, still yet to make a stop. Navy is in 5th, 13 seconds behind Maximus. We've got to keep an eye on that time because Navy is setting fastest lap after fastest lap. He's really pushing that car, but what he has to be careful of that is he doesn't burn out those soft tyres quite so quickly. That is Mays then in 6th place and Alan Kay in 7th place. The two cars there are just running through and seeing where they end up. They've had retirements in front of them. Retirements after retirement after retirement. It makes sense for them to just stay out and keep going and see how far they can go up the table.
It does. At the minute, I think they're going to be sticking to the positions as they are, but Afri, I think, might have picked up more damage, you know. And I don't think it's on the left side end plate this time. I think it's on the right side, and again he hits the wall. Afri now beginning to lose his... I wouldn't say lose his cool a little bit, but he's just beginning to lose his bottle a little bit. And Siege, over the course of the last over the last lap, certainly, has pulled about a second gap to Afri. Yes. This could get quite close. Afri's not pitting in either.
Yeah, well, from what I see from that front wing, it's less of a front wing. It's more like a T-tray now underneath that nose. Yeah. It's got about as much downforce as a T-tray would give you right now, and that is how Siege is closing in so quickly now with the help of that damaged front wing.
Yeah, 6.5 seconds the gap, and Siege, I think, was 8 seconds behind him last lap around, at the start of the last lap. You can really see how much that is costing Afri. Really, really much. But Honey Badger in the meantime, 11.2 seconds ahead, Afri second, Siege third, Maximus in fourth, Nathan fifth, Mason sixth, and Alan Kane seventh. Just having a look on board of the comments, actually. From what I can see, the softs are consistent and the softs not, and the super softs not so. Maybe he had the better tyre in the end. That is Recon. And Lyronix coming in also saying, really exciting race. You want to be in our position, Lyronix, so there's a very exciting race.
Well, I mean, we have no idea what the tyres are like. We have no idea whether these tyres will make it to the end. We have no idea if Navy's on the right strategy. He's the only person who pitted early, who started on those super soft tyres, now is making those soft tyres run to the end of the race. Will he get them to the end? Who knows? So there is that element as well. And then the rest of the field is looking like, I think they'll start to pit within the next 5 laps, I think, because those super softs lasted around about 11-12 laps with a lighter fuel tank. That means lighter load on the car. You're probably looking at about 13-14 laps, so it makes sense to pit in around about lap 22, maybe lap 21 to 23. I'm going to say is the pit window there.
I was going to say lap 20, 21 sort of area, so I think we're in the right sort of ballpark there.
Honey Badger,
hopefully, anyway.
Honey Badger 56.2 is only 0.3 slower than his personal best lap time, so that just shows you how well those soft tyres are keeping together for Honey Badger right now. Frisch is in second place. You can see how much he's fallen back behind Honey Badger. 12.3 the gap is now. You can already see how much understeer he gets through turn 1. Turn 6 should be pretty interesting then for him. This might be the first time he'll have to lift. This is the first car we'll have to see lift through turn 5, will it be?
Yeah.
Well, certainly lift through turn 5, so to brake there. I meant turn 6. Here we go. Let's ride on board with the Trident car, and let's see if he lifts through turn 6. No, keeps that foot still stuck in. So still confident in that car. But not only does it affect your turning speed, but it also affects your braking as well. Because the front of the car is not pushing down, you sort of have to push the brake bias more to the rear so that the car actually does stop in time. It won't stop in time without the front wing or with a damaged front wing, but you have to move that brake bias down to the rear of the car so that the brakes can actually work better with that damaged front wing.
Yeah, I think Afri, in terms of counteracting there, going through that turn 6, it was quite interesting to see the angle of attack going into the corner. He managed to take it flat out, but that's only because he decided to take as much of the inside as possible towards the wall. He was probably a couple of inches away from the wall in the end, but he's just beginning to just eye up his angles, I think, going into the corners, trying to maximise the speed out of them with that front wing damage, and it is quite costly for him, and especially so because Siege is now under 5 seconds away.
Recon asks, could Navy get P2 after the pit stops? Well, considering that the pit stop time here is nearer 30 seconds, especially with the slow pit lane and the 7-person crew, yeah, you're looking at around about nearer 30 seconds more than anything. So let's see what that would put Navy. So you've got around about 24 seconds, 28 seconds. It could be second place there, and Siege losing the back end out of turn 21. Yeah, I think it's a realistic goal for Navy to get P2 after those round of pit stops for the cars ahead. But what he's got to be careful of is the cars behind will be on fresher tyres and they'll be on the softer compound.
I think I'll make it out in terms of Navy and Afri. Afri 14 seconds away from Honey Badger at the minute. Navy 40 seconds away. Take into account the 30, 31 seconds. We should be seeing around a 4 or 5 second buffer for Navy coming out the pits when Afri decides to pit.
Well,
I think that's how I've worked it out.
That's of course as it stands right now. Those gaps are going to change. And well, in terms of your guess, James, the pit window's now open, but I think it's too early. But who knows?
I have to wait and see. The excitement at F2.
Over the Anderson Bridge, Honey Badger goes down towards turn 13, currently leading this race second in the championship, tied with his teammate. James, what have you seen out there?
I think he dropped it down to neutral going through the hairpin there, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I mean, you have much more detail about the car than I do. I don't have that, so I'm just guessing.
Definitely. I was just looking down at the at his gearing, and I swear I saw a neutral going through and trying to maximise the power and very quick upshift from first to second to third. Might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw that.
Well, now there is Honey Badger. Let's see as he makes his way through 20 and then through 21. Let's see what he's going to do. Has he listened to James on the strategy? Has James got the strategy call? No, he doesn't come in, so he stays out then for another lap. Frisch then, I wonder if he's tempted to come in a little bit earlier. The longer he stays out now, the more time he's going to lose. However, he's got to make it to that pit window. Whatever it is, he's got to make it to it so that the Supersoft cars last to the end of the race.
Every lap he doesn't pit in, it brings Siege more to contention for a possible second.
And if that's the case, 7 points. If Honey Badger wins and Siege finishes in second, you'll see an F2 champion crowned here tonight.
Yeah, Recon saying in the comment section there, he has to change his front wing. That is not helping at all. You can really see, I'll have a look now actually, Race Director. See their last lap times. Afri 57.8, including the warning on that lap as well. Siege 56.7, and that was a new personal best. Take that into account, about 1.1 seconds gained, but not really gaining that time as Afri just overcooks it slightly and Siege just catches the curve on the inside there, but it is getting a lot closer. Navy as well beginning to bridge that gap now down to Maximus, who's still yet to pit. It's looking quite likely now that Navy's going to get second.
Yeah,
Remains to be seen though.
We'll have to wait and see. We've still got 14 laps left to go here in Singapore, and we're still waiting for 6 cars to come into the pit lane. Who will be the first to blink then? Will Honey Badger, who's leading the way by 16 seconds, be the first to blink. Of course, it's always tougher when you're the race leader, when you've got to commit to a strategy. You're not quite sure what the cars behind are going to do. So you've just got to stick with your own strategy and hope it works. But it's Frisch in second. There is Siege then going through your picture in third place with Maximus 11.5 seconds behind. Running in fourth place, Navy in fifth. The only car to stop of the runners. Maze is in sixth. Alan Kate is seventh. And that is Honey Badger then into the pit lane from the lead of the race here on lap 21. So this will be super soft tyres to the end of the race now as Honey Badger now. Let's see what happens then. On go the super soft tyres. It looks like they're going on, are they? Or is this actually happening in real time? I'm not actually. That happened in real time. So the crew weren't ready. What is going on there?
What on earth? Oh, an Afri! Very close.
Well, that could cost him the race win. The crew just were not ready with the tyres or anything. That's bizarre.
That's cost them about 10 seconds.
That is bizarre.
There's Navy out the final. There's Navy out the final corner. Actually, there's Honey Badger just coming out of pits. It's going to be very close here down into turn one. It's going to be about a second, I think. Not even a second coming out the pits. That has really cost Honey Badger. But now, with the fresher tyres, you surely would think Honey Badger's going to win this. That has cost him a potential race win. Remains to be seen.
Yeah, it is remain to be seen. Of course, we still have a long, long way to go. 13 laps to go. As you can see, Navy with that DRS, even with those soft tyres right now, Honey Badger's able to get that gap back up. Even though we got a compromise run through turn 3, as the pit lane does make you have, he was still able to keep ahead, still able to take the line that he really wanted to take through turns 4 and 5, and able to keep that together. So that does put Siege into the lead of this race.
Honey Badger's just lost it. He's lost his right top end plate.
Well, already then, out of turn 9, Honey Badger now has lost that chunk of front wing. And, well, if the crew didn't help him, the wall there certainly hasn't either. So now he's got to cope with that front wing for the rest of the race. It's not worth coming into the pit lane to change that front wing. What could that do for Maximus, I wonder? He'll have seen that. Well, I'm sure his engineer will tell him that. Sure, he'll come out behind Honey Badger and Navy, but what that could do is hand him a potential 4th place with that front wing damage.
It could do. Honey Badger just beginning to lock up into the corners as well, but noticeably he's still pulling away from Navy, even with that front wing damage. I think he's got to try and, well, he has to risk it and stay out. Siege is just into the pits now, and if our calculations are right, Maximus is in as well. Is Honey Badger going to come in? No. Honey Badger's got to stay out there. He's got to try and pull that gap out to Navy, and as a result, Navy's got to try and pull out the gap to Afri. 16 seconds between Navy and Afri. And I think Siege, as a result, with that front wing change for Afri, he's going to be out in a P3. Quite easily as well, because Afri isn't even at the final corner yet. He's just going through it now.
There is Siege then rejoining onto the track through turn 1. You get a compromise line into turn 3, but even then, Frisch is only entering turn 1 now. So Siege then gets into 3rd place on those super soft tyres, and now he can try and chase down Navy ahead of him. That is going to be crucial because Navy here could have the final piece of the puzzle that Siege really needs to wrap up this championship. Honey Badger 25 points, Siege 15 points. Of course, that gap is 78 points, which means in this position, if it were to finish like this, Siege would win the TTL F2 championship. So the cards are in his hand, and Honey Badger with the damaged front wing, as the laps go by, that control he had slips away.
Another piece of advantage that I've just picked on looking through race director. Both drivers in front of Siege have got time penalties, 3 seconds each for Honey Badger and Navy. It's all beginning to plan up into a grand finale. You've got 12 laps to go, including this one. If you're picky, Honey Badger leads Navy second, Siege in third. But this could be quite thrilling. If Siege can gain that gap, it's around 10 seconds at the minute. Siege can gain that gap on those tyres. This could be one hell of a thrilling race, and Afri beginning to catch as well could turn out into a 3-way battle for second.
Well, Navy's falling behind here.
Nothing like a bit of wishful thinking.
There you go. Oh, you got there in the end.
Got there in the end.
Wishful thinking got you there, that's for sure. Honey Badger.
Yeah, Honey Badger, new fastest lap. Wow.
Fastest lap. So even with that front wing damage, 52.8 from Honey Badger. It'd be interesting to see what Siege does. Of course, this is his out lap, so it's not really going to count this time around, but his next lap will. I mean, with a damaged front wing, Honey Badger setting a 52.8. How about with an intact front wing? What can that do? Let's see if Siege can try and get that fastest lap. But we've got Frisch there, 3.4, now down to 3.3 seconds. Of course, Frisch there gets his third time penalty of the race. That's 9 seconds he's got now. James, if you can confirm that, that's 9 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I'll have a check. Afri has got 9 seconds. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Yeah, so
Plenty of warnings as well.
I get some things right. 11 laps to go then. And Honey Badger leads by 6.8 seconds from Navy. Siege is in 3rd place with Frisch in 4th. Maximus in 5th. Maze in 6th. Alan Kay in 7th. Interestingly then, Maze and Alan Kay, well, I was just about to say the only cars that haven't come into pit, but there is Maze then. Into the pit lane he comes. And I wonder if Alan Kay is going to pit in at the same time. Both of them have kept their front wing intact, which is really good news for them. So in comes Maze then.
Both of them pitting in.
Both of them pitting, so will the crew be able to manage a double stack? I've never seen a double stack in F2 before, that's for sure. So in comes Alan Kay.
It should be easy.
Pits. Well, it should be, in theory, but where's theory ever got us, James?
Not a long way, and they're just getting the tyres ready now, in fact. I think he's timed this perfectly.
Yeah,
that is
about.
perfection.
Just about. That's great stuff. Well, hands together for the Dams team because they have drilled that to perfection. That was really good.
If only they did that with Honey Badger's car.
Well, yeah, well, it would have helped if they had the car and the tyres ready at all. It just sort of felt like you're in a Super Aguri garage and Anthony Davidson was just stranded waiting there. That's exactly what it felt like.
Alan Kay, as a result, has just came out in front of Honey Badger, in fact. Just about to be lapped, but consistency is there for Alan Kay. He's still in 7th. He could just let him through, carry on with his own race, and then finish up in 7th place. And that, at the end of the day, is 6 points towards his championship. And that goes a long way at the end of the day.
Yeah, 6 points for car number 6. Absolutely it would. And really,
He'll go... Sorry to put in that. He'll go past Pedro, Bishy and Uzi, so he'll be up to 13th place in the standings as it stands.
Really yeah, so if he can get it to the line then, that's exactly what he wants, and that's exactly what the Downs crew need as well, just points. They want both cars to make it to the checkered flag, and as you've seen, you know, we have 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, all retired early on, and some of them from the menu, and throwing away those points, and I think their team bosses will be far from pleased with that.
I wonder if there's going to be any penalty points as a result of people retiring. I know there's still a lot of racing still to go. I mean, we've still got 10 laps, including this one, to go. Goodness knows what could have happened in those laps that those guys have retired. Pedro, Uzi, Eskrem. This goes on.
Frisch then in 4th place. Still keeping a relatively good gap to Siege. 3.6 is the gap so far. But Siege then not really lighting up well. He's not seeing purple sectors. He's just gone a 10th quicker, just under 2 tenths quicker through sector 2 than his personal best time. But I haven't seen him set a purple lap time as of yet, unless it's just gone completely under the radar for me. And when I say completely under the radar, I mean it flashed up purple and I completely missed it.
I believe it was a 53.2 last lap. I've just had a look. He was 3 seconds quicker last lap than Navy.
Well, let's have a look and see if he can better that then through the final 2 corners, through 22 and 23. Let's see what that lap time is going to be. It's a 53.4, only a tenth slower than his best so far. Remember, you do get a point for that fastest lap of the race as well, as long as you finish in the top 10. And, well, luckily enough, there's only 7 cars, so if you get the fastest lap of the race, you get that extra point. That might be an extra incentive for the Dams boys. They might want to try and compete for that fastest lap of the race, but what they've got to remember is that if they're being lapped, they've got to take that into account as well.
Yeah, Alan Kay has let through Honey Badger as a result of that as well. So Alan Kay now getting on with his own race. Honey Badger now 11 seconds ahead, but we've got to have to watch this battle for second, because this, as I said, could develop into a 3-way battle very, very soon. The gaps that they're closing at, we should see battling happening, I would say, from lap 30, possibly.
Well, 52.8.
Maybe even sooner.
52.8, fast lap of the race, Honey Badger. So even with that damaged front wing, Siege just managed to 53.2. So Honey Badger's still quicker. So I can't believe that. At a relatively high downforce track, the Honey Badger is still quicker than Siege with a damaged front wing. Words can't describe what's going on right now, how I'm feeling about that right now.
It is unbelievable. Just comes to show the characteristics of him, really, at the end of the day. Managing that car really nicely, pulling away from Navy as a result as well. Interestingly though, Afri just beginning to bridge the gap to Siege. 3.1 seconds. It was 3.6 at the start of the lap. 5/10 gained. We'll begin to heat up for second, I think. We could see a battle, as I said, next 2-3 laps.
8 laps to go then. And Honey Badger leads, 12.4 the gap between himself and Navy. But this is the battle we're watching then for second place. Siege comes over the crest. Then there, just in the distance, is Frisch in 4th place. And as you're saying, James, this could be a mighty battle for second place.
Navy is going to have to defend for his life. It's now 3 seconds that gap. Siege beginning just to pull in 10th after 10th. Pretty much a 10th per corner I'm making it out as at the minute. Oh, well, not a 10th corner, but you know what I mean. Figure of speech and all of that.
2.8 seconds now is the gap between Navy and Siege as we now head towards turn 7, riding on board with Siege then as he takes that turn 7 curve in his Carlin car on towards turn 8 now. And this is where the concentration is key. They've already had 27 laps and, you know, it's not exactly a cool day here in England. If you have your windows shut and you're working hard, you can still work up a sweat, especially in these rooms. So it's by far from easy to try and close this gap, try and keep your focus on. And you know, when you're looking at the hour mark for these races, it's very difficult to keep that concentration in place.
It is. The mind will be ticking at about 1,000,000 miles an hour now for these guys. Honey Badger 3-second time penalty. That's his second one, I think. And that was picked up with the right-hander. Is that a turn? Let me check. That was at turn 16, I do believe. The left-hander. But look at Siege. 1.9 seconds. Afri gaining. This is heating up. Heating up. Get your aircon on. Keep cool.
Get your aircon on, unless you're in England, where aircon doesn't exist. It just doesn't. Why does it not exist? We have carpets
Get your
in our
mini
homes.
fans out. Get your little mini fans out. Your little handheld fans. Use them.
We have carpets in our room. That's how badly designed this country is for heat. It just doesn't make sense. Well, anyway, Siege is certainly coping with the heat well, as he's 1.4 seconds behind Navy. Battle for second place, heating up very, very nicely now here on lap 28. 7 laps to go here in Singapore, as now Siege will just try and keep that car under control. Well, Frisch is faster than the both of them right now. He's closing that gap, and now it's 2.4 seconds between himself and Siege, so he's really closing in. He's definitely got the pace, and these three cars, I should say, should bunch up pretty nicely then, as they are now all head down towards turn 7. Siege won't have the DRS just yet. He was just outside the detection zone, the detection period of that second gap that you need. So he was just outside of that. That means he didn't get the DRS, but for sure he's going to get it next time around. But we've seen this before from Siege in this race so far. He was behind Frisch that time with the front wing damage, and there was just no real place or no real attack from Siege to try and get past. I think that's a completely different story this time around, though.
Very, very close. The back, he loses the car on the curb actually there, just at turn 11, just before the Anderson Bridge section. Very costly. That just brings him out. I was just about to say, and it's a good job I didn't say that, there could have been a move at turn 14. This corner here, there could have been a move, but he ruined it by going over the curb. Afri in the meantime 1.7 seconds behind now as a result, catching the both of them. I make it 7/10 of the last 2 laps for Afri and Siege in between that gap. So it's going to be interesting. If Navy can hold these guys off, it'll be a monumental performance from him.
It's just under half a second now. You can see Navy's trying to hold on to this pressure well, but Siege, with his attacking, trying to attack those curbs, he's got to be careful here that he doesn't pick up any time penalties as they now head through the final corner. Siege, of course, with the better mechanical grip. Let's see what Navy has. It looks like he has good aero grip through those final couple of corners as we head now down towards turn 1. This time, Siege will have the DRS heading through turn 6. Can he use it wisely then? heading through turn 3. And then there's the slight left-hander of turn 4 towards the braking zone of turn 5. Riding on board now with the Carling car of Siege, heading through turn 5. Let's see what the exit's like. There's a little bit of undulation, a little bit of bump on exit to try and test the car and see if you can keep the back end in check. But have a look at this now. Siege closing with that slipstream. Navy defending the inside line. Siege having to go the long way round around the outside. And look at that, then Navy tries to shut the door, but Siege is still there then. Going in towards turn 8, up the inside he goes. He'll now try and he actually leaves him the room, but Siege then makes the move stick and gets past Navy up to second place. He goes. Great racing between the two of them, and Siege then just with the superior grip gets the move done.
Yeah, that is what you call driving. Pure respect shown there between Siege and Navy. And now as a result, that brings Afri into it as Navy's picked up another 3 seconds on penalty. Quite costly for him. But Afri now, all over the back. Navy runs wide into the hairpin there. Same Siege actually going much deeper line, but again running wide on the end, on the exit of the corner. Afri not close enough for a move here, but he's close enough on the brakes. Well, we're not going to see like a move into the grandstand, are we? It's close enough.
It's close enough, but it's a very daring move to have a go there through there because it's so narrow on entry. So here he is then, Frisch riding on board then as he makes his way towards 18, yet wisely stays behind. Look how narrow it is on the entry. There's no chance you're going for a move up the inside there, unless you are actually, well, in front of the car. You're trying to overtake by that point. But Frisch here, look at this, how much grip he's got then. He had the grip through 21 there, but didn't really have a place to put it. Navy runs wide on the exit of 22. That could be all Frisch needs then, with the DRS running side by side now with Navy as they head now down towards turn 1. Frisch has the inside line. Navy will try and hold it through there, but Frisch takes the racing line and then picks up a 3-second time penalty. But Frisch on track then moves up to 3rd place with 5 laps to go.
Yeah, that 3-second time penalty might just need removing, to be honest. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. It's not Honey Badger, it's Alan Kay who was spun. And that's on the exit of turn 5.
Yeah, it looks
Which
like
is a
the
shame,
back
but...
end. Yeah, the back end just dropped there, I think, on he might have clipped the curb because there is a bump on the exit there of turn 5. And that can really catch you out if you just lose that concentration, if you just slightly take too much curb or you've got the throttle on slightly too much for that bump, it just sends you spinning straight around. I've been the victim of that many a time.
Been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
It's a nice t-shirt as well. It's cotton. Anyway,
Cotton?
Honey Badger,
Ooh.
yeah. Anyway, Honey Badger leading then, 17.6 seconds. I mean, he's got 6 seconds worth of penalties, but that doesn't really matter right now. Could do in 5 laps time though. Let's see how well Siege can close this gap. But as you've already seen, Honey Badger looks quick out there, quicker than Siege, even with only half a front wing. That's incredible from Honey Badger. He's doing really well out there.
Fantastic stuff from him. Absolutely fantastic. You cannot fault his performance so far at all. Apart from the slight rub or losing his right side end place. Apart from that, he has been picture perfect through tonight. But what we're going to have to watch now, Afri getting closer to Siege, 1.6 seconds, is that going to close up enough towards the end of the race? I have my doubts.
Well, the thing is, for Honey Badger, it's going to be a great performance because he's had 3 starts. This is his 3rd start this season, and in his previous 2 starts, he finished 1st place. That was in Austria, and also last round in Belgium. So this could be 3 wins in 3 attempts from Honey Badger. That is real championship contender form, and it's such a shame that we only saw him halfway through the season. It could have been a real battle between himself and Siege, because you see the pace he's got here. I mean, he's making his statement clear for season 5.
Yeah, most importantly though, the championship battle is going to run on into next week, as they are, but Afri could have the final laugh here in Singapore in the beautiful, beautiful City Towers just in the front of shot there. Begin to pull away from Navy as a result, but 1.1 seconds. I said I have my doubts. Begin to get a little bit more confident now, Afri. He's just attacking the curbs, much better compared to Siege. He's much later on the brakes, which I think is going to go a long way. He's getting closer. Whether he can get close enough before the end remains to be seen. I'll check the penalties as well.
Well, Honey Badger here. Oh, Siege has run deep into turn 13 there, but he got a better exit. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. He gets a better exit and a better run up towards turn 14. What's interesting to note then, with 4 laps to go, 3 and a bit if you're picky, Honey Badger has the fastest lap of the race. That means he's scoring 26 points. Siege, as it stands, obviously doesn't have the fastest lap of the race. That means he's scoring 18 points. The gap between them is 8 points. We then whittle that down to 80 points with 75 points left to score. If it finishes like this, Siege is the TTL F2 champion. But on the flip side though, let's check third place. I mean, 15 points, it's 9. Yet, I mean, even if Siege were to just hand this position over to Frisch, he'd still be in a position to win this championship here in Singapore.
Yeah, and that's notable because Afri's also got 12 seconds worth of penalties as well, on top of that. So Siege, Afri really needs to get ahead, pass him, get ahead by 12 seconds, which is impossible on these competitors. I mean, he's not even bridging closer half a second a lap at the minute. But he's closer this time, DRS enabled. I don't think he's going to get the move done. He's not close enough. You need to be within 2.5 tenths round here to try and get the move done. Never close enough there.
Well, through turn 7 they go, 3 laps to go then. Honey Badger still leads by 18.5 seconds. When he's been on his own out there, he's been absolutely faultless. He had that scrape with the wall when he was just coming out of the pit lane, maybe a bit too eager with that right foot on cold tyres. But he's done a pretty good job since then. 18.6, the fastest person out there on track, the only person to make it into the 152s here in this race. And with 2.5 laps left to go at the moment, and as it stands, it would be 3 wins in 3 attempts, and that is real form to take forward into next season. What he can do though is, even if this championship battle is wrapped up tonight, which as we go further and further towards the checkered flag looks very, very likely, more and more likely as well, but he can take solace in the fact that 3 wins in 3 attempts is a very, very good statement to make to Siege for next season. He's saying, I might not get you this season, but next season you're in real trouble.
Yeah, everything Honey Badger currently is turning into gold at the minute. 3 first places, it looks like. As long as he gets to the end, you never know, he might hit the wall. Maze is ahead of him. You never know what could happen.
2 laps to go then. Honey Badger still leading the way then. It is Siege in second, Frisch in third. Frisch looking to try and get past Siege. As you said, James, 12 seconds worth of penalties. This will be bittersweet if he gets the move done through turns 1, then through turns 2 and 3. And again, looking like he's trying to take a tighter line. But Siege is prioritising the exit, which hasn't gone to plan. I don't think he was trying to get a bigger gap than that. But look at Frisch now, right on the back of Siege. You can see that bump coming into action there. Frisch having to put a little bit of opposite lock on as we fly now through turn 6. You can see now Frisch with the DRS having to go round the long way in towards turn 7, later on the brakes up onto the curb, and you can see there Frisch having to take to the outside of the track. He'll have the inside now for turn 8. Up the inside he goes, and look at that now, he's got the move done, still leaving the gap there for Siege in towards turn 9. Yes, he has got the move done. Frisch then moves up to second place, and Siege now down to third.
Inches away from contact there, inches away. Fantastic stuff from Afro, round the outside, battling with Siege there. Fantastic stuff. Just to pick up on that, I was just cutting away briefly while you were commentating on that. Honey Badger just had a slight mistake out of his most favoured corner, turn 9. Didn't hit the wall or anything like that, but once again, he's just pushing the limits a little bit too much. He's in the lead, he's 19.5 seconds clear. He shouldn't be risking these things.
That's the thing when you're in a race
car.
car.
On the back of him though.
Yeah, Siege now in towards 15, then through turn 16, as we see here. Going through now what I like to call the 90-degree section. Afri, look at how much speed he was carrying through turn 17 there. That was amazing. Siege couldn't quite match that. But we're on to the final lap of the race now, and it is Honey Badger who is in the lead, looking to make it 3 wins in 3 starts this season. He has been in amazing form, and it's such a shame we didn't see him earlier on in the season. What a battle we could have had between Honey Badger and Siege for the F2 title. But like I said before, it sends out a huge statement to the other drivers for next season. He is here and he's ready to try and take on the F2 champion, which, well, in this case might be Siege. As it stands, going into the last lap, Siege will be crowned the F2 champion. because as it stands, the gap between Honey Badger and Siege would be down to 77 points with 75 points left to score. Well, actually, is that actually true? Because 3 fastest lap points, actually, the title won't be wrapped up here then if that's the case. But if Siege finishes in second, which is very, very likely as well, then there's no chance then for Siege there's no chance for Honey Badger to try and grab that title. Fastest lap points. Oh, they eluded me there. But if it goes to 8 points rather than 11, then yes, there is no way back for Honey Badger then. But he's given it a really, really good go then as we head now up towards turn 14. And these fastest lap points are going to be quite something for me, because I'll have to work out on the fly what's going to happen with the championship. As it stands though, the gap will be well, it's 8 points from 88, so 80 points with 75, 3 fast lap points, 78. So 78 points available with 80 points. The gap as it stands. Well, Honey Badger, it's not going to be enough as he makes his way through the 90-degree section. 3 starts, and it looks like 3 wins, 3 top step finishes for Honey Badger. He makes his way around the final 2 corners. Honey Badger wins in Singapore, and the fireworks go off. 3 wins in 3 starts. Fantastic form there. Frisch hasn't quite got 12 seconds down, 12 seconds away in 2 laps. He gets a little bit sideways out of the third to last corner, but through he goes now to take the checkered flag. And the news we're waiting for is Siege does finish in second. He is the F2 champion for season number 4. He cannot be caught no matter how many fastest lap Honey Badger can set. He cannot be caught. Frisch then finishes in third, Navy in fourth there with the alternate strategy, you can call it. And Maximus will come across the line in 5th place there and finishes on the lead lap. Alan Kay and Mays there, 6th and 7th, will finish a lap down on the leaders. However, it's great points for them both and great points for Dams as well. Honey Badger then wins in Singapore, but your champion for season number 4 here in TTL F2, it's Siege. A huge congratulations to him and the Carlin Racing Team.
Fantastic championship win for Siege, of course, never able to be caught in the end. Honey Badger, though, has got to take note from this. He has got to put in those performances still to the end of the season and put a big, big slap on the wrist to Siege for next season.
Well, Siege will enjoy that one. Honey Badger couldn't be caught, even with only half a front wing. But I think Siege will take that because he is our new TTL F2 champion here in Singapore. And under the floodlights and with the fireworks as well, it's not a bad place to win the championship here in TTL F2. And of course, this brings us to the official, unofficial results. Honey Badger then grabs the win and grabs that fastest lap bonus point of 1 point. So he does score 26 points. Siege then in second with Frisch in third, Navy fourth with Maximus in fifth. It's amazing, sixth, and Alan Kay in seventh. Pedro, Yuzi, Graham, Casper, Henny and George did not make it to the checker flag. In fact, George was disqualified for blocking the pit lane entrance. So then, James, we've wrapped up on a championship, and instantly there in the chat, Honey Badger dedicates that win to the late Antoine Hubert. So a really class move there. 66 minutes we were racing for then. Such a long, long time. But Honey Badger with his third race win of the season. But there you are then. Siege is your F2 TTL F2 champion of season number 4. And he could pretty much enjoy the last 3 races. A huge congratulations to Siege from all of us here at the commentary team.
He could honestly not turn up for the rest of the races and still be champion. That's what you got to think now. But I hope he doesn't. I hope it's him and Honey Badger fighting it out for every single win this week. Of course, missing Lyronics tonight as well. Lyronics could have had a big say in tonight as well. But as you said, a very class move there from Honey Badger, dedicating it to the late Antoine Hubert. Hopefully, Antoine was watching us here tonight, and I think massive our thoughts definitely with Antoine's family, friends, colleagues, all at this very tragic time, of course, after the horrific accident that sadly took his life on Saturday. May's asking, by the way, what was with the fuel?
Well, that's interesting. There was it really, you know, you had to manage the fuel intensely there. I wonder what went on. Maybe the Dams crew underfueled the car.
Owen Cage just came in saying fuel management was a pain in the start.
Yeah, so May's saying that the fuel had to be managed really, really well. So maybe that's why the two Dams cars weren't quite on the pace this time around. Maybe they had to focus on the fuel saving. So that's one for the Dams team to look at. But they still finished 6th and 7th. I mean, it's an endurance. They made it to the end. They made it to the checkered flag. They've still got those points in the bag.
Yeah, it's fantastic for the Dams team. 6th and 7th. Consistency is key, as the motto goes. Whoever came up with that motto, thank you. I've not credited you within the commentary here tonight. But of course, we move on to another Asian track. We are going to Japan next week, Suzuka International Circuit. One of my favourite tracks to commentate on, I've got to be honest. I can't wait to see these cars fly around here.
Absolutely, and I hope you'll join us next week then for the next race. We congratulate Siege for the championship, and I hope you can join us for what will be a very exciting Japanese Grand Prix. Hopefully we'll get more cars to the checkered flag, and we hope to see you next week. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell so you're notified every time TTTV goes live. I believe we're live next on Thursday for TTL F1, if no one corrects me.
Yep.
So make sure you join myself for that. I'll be in the commentary box, and I believe, James, you'll be there as well to cause even more trouble.
I believe so. Anyways, I'm not sure if Andy is back this week or not. We'll have to find out.
Well, make sure.
Might be something like that. Soul search.
Oh, Andy will be there. There you go. He's just popped up in the chat. There you are. So Andy will be here with me on Thursday. James, can I just say for TTL F1, it's been a pleasure. You've done a fantastic job subbing in for Andy. Look forward to finishing the rest of the F2 season with you, the last 3 races.
Of course, I look forward to being alongside you for TTL F2. In the meantime, though, if you don't want to, if you feel like Wednesdays, it's not your sort of thing for TTTV. There's nothing being covered on TTTV. Come over with me. Come over with me. Gather Racing's on tomorrow. Pre-season testings, the GT1s and Project Cars 2. It's 90 minutes. Come and give me a bit of company, because I think I'm going to need it with that endurance race. Honestly.
Well, make sure as well that you're following the league on Twitter. It's at TTL_F2. You can follow me whilst you're there as well if you like. It's at KSMCGF1. And you can also follow James, whose Twitter handle is at B52Head. I hope you've enjoyed this Singapore Grand Prix. 66 minutes, 1 hour and 6 minutes of driving there. You can't fault the drivers for their endurance tonight. You can't fault the Honey Badger there for his consistency. So consistent throughout, and that's what got him the win by almost 19 seconds, at least on track before penalties were added on. But I hope you can join us for the Japanese Grand Prix, where the race will probably be less than an hour, so it'll be less of an endurance. Until then, though, I've been Kieran McGinley.
I've been James Head.
Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.